It's John Lund Unleashed. Shout out to Lund loyalists watching on YouTube, those watching on X, Instagram, Facebook, and JohnLundUnleashed.com and the Lund Lunatics, listening to the podcast on Apple and Spotify. Make sure to subscribe and like John Lund Unleashed on YouTube and keep those alerts on so you don't miss anything. Now here's Johnny.
What's happening? Happy Sunday night. Happy week 4 as we'll recap week 4 in the National Football League. John Lund Unleashed and the Pro Football Wire. Thanks for joining us. Get you caught up on everything. Sorry we're a little bit late tonight, but I hate games that end in a tie. Like if I was in Dallas, or I guess Arlington, where the stadium actually is, and went to that game, and it's Micah Parsons' return, and you can see the top 5 stories, the studs, the duds. We'll go over everything, and also love to get your thoughts on the chat line right there. And this is really cool. We have this great group with John Lund Unleashed. If you are new around here, thank you for watching. By the way, if you're on X right now at John Lund Radio, just come on over to YouTube and check us out at John Lund Unleashed, the Bay Area Sports Collective as well, and check us out. Make sure that you are subscribed to the channel. That would be outstanding. Please make sure that you have your alerts on as well. And if you'd hit us a like before you get out of here as well, that helps the algorithm, which is absolutely great. So thank you for everything that you do. And thanks for jumping in. However you're watching, we'd love you to come over to YouTube and make sure that you check out the show as we recap week 4 in the NFL. So it's John Lund Unleashed and the Pro Football Wire. Top 5 stories. You saw number 1 on the list there. Micah Parsons returns to Dallas. And he really hasn't done a whole lot. He had a couple of assisted tackles, but then Dak Prescott at the end probably scores a touchdown to win that game. But Micah Parsons stops him, and that's really the only thing that Micah did. Jordan Love almost blew that game. There was 1 second left. If you watch it on Sunday Night Football, there was 1 second left when he threw the ball away in overtime. 1 second, and then Brandon McManus came in, tied the game at 40. And I like the overtime rule. I mean, Chris Collinsworth, of course, was gushing about it. And Chris Collinsworth is not my favorite, but okay. Gushes about everything now. But essentially was saying how much he loves the overtime rules. And I have no issue with the overtime rules. I like that both teams get a possession. I just don't think you should tie. I just don't. And I get it. It's for injuries and everything else. But it's a multi-billion-dollar business. And I don't want to tie. I mean, business doesn't have ties. Michael Parsons came back to Dallas, and he was either going to get bombarded with questions of you lost or you won. And so there's got to be a way. I mean, then do the college rule, play from the 25-yard line until somebody wins something. But I just don't think you should have ties. You don't have ties in college anymore. You keep playing and keep playing and playing and playing and playing, and and then they just start doing 2-point conversions. I mean, maybe that's what you do in the NFL. Maybe you just do what college does. Okay, now it's down to 2-point conversions. Who can score from, a couple of yards out, whatever. But 40-40, for as great of a game as it was, and I know Mike Tirico personally, and Collinsworth, like I said, is not my favorite. He used to be really, really good. Now he just loves everything, and everybody's the greatest and everything like that, and he doesn't want to ruffle any feathers there. But just the Sunday night game itself, that's where we'll start, because like I said at the top, you got Micah Parsons there. Jordan Love, 31 of 43, 337, 3 touchdowns. That's a 118 rating. And then Dak Prescott was great, whatever you think of Dak. 31 of 40, 319, 3 touchdowns, had a rushing touchdown as well. Dallas was completely out of this game early. They come back, many opportunities to win this football game. In fact, the Packers had a 4th down. Matthew Golden, a rookie out of Texas, made a nice catch over the middle to keep the drive going for the Packers. And again, they get close. The Cowboys had a ball after a crazy catch that I didn't think was good at first, but Jalen Tolbert, 4 catches, 61 yards. He gets 2 feet inbounds, and it looked right there that Dallas was going to get a touchdown. They couldn't do it. And then, I was thinking, I was watching this game, so many field goals have been blocked over the last couple of weeks, and I'm thinking, I don't care who it is. It could be the, great kicker that the Cowboys have, or it could be somebody like McManus that the Packers have, a veteran kind of a guy. But anyway, 40-40 tie. I'm not a tie guy. I'd love to get your thoughts on that whole thing. Hit us up on the chat line. And again, we have built a great room here at John Lund Unleashed. So make sure that you come on over, chat with everybody. It is awesome to have everybody in the room. By the way, if you want to get your questions, comments, and thoughts on the board right in front of me, then just hit me with a like or do this, become a new member, and I'll pop that up on the screen. Slavic Niner, it is absolutely great to see you, and thanks for becoming a member of the channel. We always love to grab it, or we always like to grow it. So Slavic Niner, welcome, welcome, welcome. We'll get to the Niners game in just a few minutes as well after I get through the top 5 stories. So Micah Parsons returns to Dallas, and both teams score 40. Kiss your sister. If you bought tickets, all those kind of things. I just think in big business, there needs to be a winner and a loser. In sports, there needs to be a winner and a loser, not a tie. Like I would be, if I had attended that game, I'd be like, come on, man, do 2-point conversions, start it at the 25, do something. And again, they're trying to avoid injuries. I understand that. But the point of playing a game, the point of me sitting down for Sunday Night Football, or you, the point of going to a game, the point of tailgating, the whole thing, somebody's got to win, somebody's got to lose. So I don't like that part of it. So that's number 1 on the list. Micah Parsons returns to Dallas, doesn't make much of an impact until the final possession for the Cowboys, and he stops Dak Prescott from scoring a touchdown, which he looked like he scrambled to the left and was going to, and Parsons reaches out and gets him, and then Dak throws it away. They settle for a field goal. Packers go down the field. They settle for a field goal, so a 40-40 tie. Other stories around the NFL, the top 5, as you see right there. Chiefs are not dead, and I didn't think the Chiefs were dead at 0-2, but Patrick Mahomes becomes the fastest to 250 touchdown passes, the youngest to 250 touchdown passes. They are not dead. In fact, there is if you didn't believe me, there is Patrick Mahomes today. And again, a lot of people at the age of 30 are like, well, he's done. He's done. Well, he doesn't have the guys he used to have. 25 and 37, 270 and 4 touchdowns against the Ravens. By the way, Patrick Mahomes is now 6-1 versus Lamar Jackson. Here is Mahomes after the game talking about touchdown pass number 250.
I have a lot of great people around me, a lot of great players around me, and it's easy whenever you can throw to those guys. And so we'll keep moving, keep getting better, and let's see if we get to 500 or something.
He could get to 500, but I know he's not your favorite guy if you're a 49er fan. But the Chiefs started out 0-2, and a lot of people were like, well, they're done. Well, they have Patrick Mahomes. They have a defense. They have Andy Reid. It reminds me a lot because people want that dynasty to be done, or whatever you want to call it. They want it to be done, just like Brady and the Patriots. And you want it, it's like, I think they're done. I think they're done. And then they'd have another kick, same with the Warriors. I think those guys are done. Nope, they've got another kick. They win a championship in 22. So look, if I'm in that division, the Chargers lost today. We'll get into that. The Raiders are a complete mess. Denver, they play tomorrow night. We'll get into that a little bit later as well when we go down to the duds, because the Monday Night Football, I love the idea of the doubleheader for Monday Night Football, but the games they have are just atrocious. But anyway, let's stay on point. Chiefs are not dead. They are 2-2 on the year, but the Ravens now, because of an injury to Lamar Jackson, and again, if you're a 49ers fan in the Bay Area and you're watching tonight, thank you, and you're like, oh my God, the injuries for the 49ers. Look what's going on with the Ravens now. They fall to 1-3, and they have 10, just to do a little math for you, and you know this, there are 22 starters, 11 on each side. They have 10 starters. And Lamar Jackson got added to the list today with an ankle injury. So if there's anything to Lamar Jackson being hurt, they're in trouble. But Ronnie Stanley is a Pro Bowl kind of a player. Ricard, we know. Matabuke is a Pro Bowl caliber player. I mean, Kyle Van Noy has had a great career. Roquan Smith is a great player. Nate Wiggins, both their starting corners are down. I mean, right now, and the Ravens are that kind of team where you look at 1-3 and you say, well, they can probably come back from it. The Steelers did win today in that division. Cleveland's a mess. Well, their defense is pretty good, but they got smoked today by the Lions. And the Bengals, they'll play tomorrow night. And without Joe Burrow, I think, and again, we'll get into the Niners a little bit later, but I think that Trey Hendrickson, I think that they're going to be starting to trade players. I know they're 2-1, but without Joe Burrow, what's their season going to be like? So it's not like the Ravens are playing in a great division, but when you have 10 starters out and you add Lamar Jackson to that list, the Ravens are in trouble at 1-3. The Chiefs, I never thought at 0-2 we're going to be dead in the water. They have Mahomes. They have a really good defense. They'll figure it out. My fear with the Chiefs is they're going to go out, if the Dolphins lose tomorrow night, for example, and go to 0-4, then all of a sudden people are going to start calling. Tyreek Hill is probably going to be available. I know they'd have to do a lot of gymnastics to get his finances in there, but it wouldn't shock me whatsoever if Kansas City went after Tyreek Hill and brought him back for Mahomes. And I know that he is older. I know that Kelsey is older, but I'm not counting out the Chiefs. The injury list I just showed you from the Ravens, maybe. You might be able to win that division, though, at 9-8. honestly. You might be able to win that division 9-8 or something in that range. I don't think you're going to have a great record. You're going to have to deal with Pittsburgh, who's just okay, who won today in Dublin, and we'll get into that in a second. They won today. DK Metcalf with a long touchdown in that one. They're okay. But again, Cleveland is a one-dimensional team with defense, no offense, and Cincinnati has no Joe Burrow. So even at 1-3, bad news is the Ravens have a bunch of injuries, including now Lamar Jackson. But the good news is they don't play in a very good division, so we shall see. Speaking of good, number 3 on the list in the top 5 stories as we recap week 4 in the NFL, the Eagles and the Bills are the last undefeated teams. If you don't believe me, let me just show you very quickly. Let me share my screen with you, which is always an adventure because I'm not sure what we're going to have, but there it is. There's your standings right there. And like I said, there is only one. In fact, I can make this a lot easier. Let's go to league. Let's just click that up. That's it right there. Everybody else has a defeat. The Bills are 4-0. The Eagles are 4-0. You got a bunch of one-loss teams, and the Steelers, who I don't think of that great. The Niners really missed Nick Bosa today. We'll get into that conversation, but you can't turn the football over and make the special teams mistakes that the 49ers made and expect to win football games against anyone. If you're a Niners fan and you're watching this tonight, they always lose a weird one. You know, look at the schedule, and we play the win-loss game, and we go win-loss, win-loss, win-win, loss. Nobody put an L by the Jaguars game, and the Jaguars are okay. They're not great, and Trevor Lawrence isn't great, but you turned it over 4 times. 2 fumbles, 2 interceptions, long kick return that led to a field goal before the half, and a punt return for a touchdown. The special teams was so bad it looked like last year. They scored 26. Niners lost 26-21. Real simple. 17 points off turnovers, 9 points from special teams. That's 26. You gave them the football game tonight. The Lions look really good. They beat up on Cleveland. And again, I'm not saying that that's impressive in and of itself, but I think the Lions, some teams forget about them. Some people forget about them in the NFC. They're really good. The Chargers, disappointing loss in Jackson Dart's first game. The Buccaneers lose their first one to Philly. That wasn't real close. Seattle, we'll get into the NFC West in a little bit. Jaguars, like I said, 3-1. Rams got lucky. We'll get into that a little bit later. Anyway, we don't need to go through all of the teams there, but only 2 undefeated. And the reason I wanted to bring up the 2 that are undefeated in this whole thing is number 3 on the list of the top 5 stories as we recap week 4 in the NFL. Is that our Super Bowl right there? Eagles, Bills, is that our Super Bowl? And look, it's 4 games. It's 4 games into the season. I understand that. But you look at the NFC, I think Detroit's going to be a factor. The Rams won again today by the skin of their teeth. So I'm not real sure on the Rams. I think you have to give me a little bit more time on there. But if you look at the NFC and the contenders in the NFC, Green Bay, despite the last 2 games where they have a loss and a tie, they're still in it to me. You give up 40 points to the Cowboys, you got to fix your defense. There's something going on with the defense, but they have some injuries in the secondary, so I'll give them a little bit of a pass. But Detroit is absolutely. Philadelphia had put number 1. Detroit's up there as well. Green Bay is in that mix. The Rams maybe. The 49ers, I'm hesitant because they had no sacks today. And you're talking about a quarterback in Trevor Lawrence that's not really that mobile, and you didn't put a ton of pressure on today. Nick Bosa was greatly missed. That's a major, major problem. And I'm not sure yet that I can put them in that upper echelon of the NFC. Had they won today and played a better game, but this is just like last year. Special teams, terrible. Turning the football over. Brock Purdy was not sharp today. Brock Purdy had a lot of overthrows today. Juwan Jennings made a hell of a catch. Robinson made a hell of a catch today. They had some major issues moving the ball today offensively. And when Jennings was hurt as well, they had some injuries. I put out a short earlier today, but Jennings had the injuries. Pearsall's dealing with a knee now. Man, between the Ravens and the 49ers, we got a ton of injuries. So Eagles, Bills, you look over to the AFC, the Bills are there. Kansas City is always going to be there. Maybe the Ravens are, maybe they're not, depending on their injury situation. I would never – the Ravens, to me, are the 49ers of the AFC. I just never count them out. John Harbaugh is going to get that team ready to play. Speaking of, I do think the Chargers, despite the loss, you always have a weird loss during the season. It's not going to change my opinion, say, on the 49ers. I think without Nick Bosa, that's a major difference. But whether they won or lost, that's a weird loss. The Jacksonville loss is a weird loss. You're not going to turn it over 4 times every single week. I'm not going to say they're not going to do those things on special teams because they did it all of last year. And it doesn't matter if it's Brian Schneider as the special teams coordinator or Brant Boyer. I mean, it's just, okay, the kicking is fixed, but the special teams, and they brought in a bunch of guys. You saw it in the offseason. They signed, that's all they did was sign special teams guys for the most part. They signed the tight end from Jacksonville who fumbled today. But for the most part, they signed a bunch of special teams guys. That's what they did. And that was essentially, that was it. And their special teams don't look much better. So Eagles, Bills, if I had to call a Super Bowl right now, they're the two undefeated teams. I would say, yeah. I would say that, the Eagles right now, and I know Tampa Bay came back on them, but the Eagles looked really good. They did get a couple of blocked field goals, obviously, against the Rams to salvage that game. But until somebody beats the Eagles, I think that's the team. The Bills, I think, again, Josh Allen is playing like an MVP, so I think that probably is your Super Bowl right now. Ashton Jeanty is an interesting story. That's number 4 on the list, and the Bears got a blocked field goal to beat the Raiders. And I don't know if you saw the game where a lot of these blocked field goals have been coming is straight up the middle. They've been blocking the field goals straight up the middle. They had a guy, I mean, this is a total breakdown of your special teams. They had a guy come from the edge on this side away from Carlson's not a left-footed kicker, I don't think, but far away, and they blocked the kick. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. You can't let an edge guy block your game-winning kick, but that's what the Bears did. But the big story in that game, obviously beyond what happened there, and the Bears are getting themselves a little momentum. They beat Dallas last week pretty handily. I think they got lucky this week, 25-24 over the Raiders. But earlier this week, and you probably saw this, and I'll be honest with you, because I always am, Ryan Clark is probably my least favorite analyst right now. I have no idea how he still has a job at ESPN. He's always wrong. He's always, how do I put this? Being politically correct. The Peter Schrager thing was a complete joke. Man, I just think he's terrible at what he does. But anyway, and I think look, I understand how ESPN works. I've told you this a million times. I worked there for a number of years. And if you don't think these shows are scripted, they are scripted. And so Ryan Clark said at the beginning of the week or middle of the week or whatever it was on one of the hot take shows on ESPN, this about Ashton Jeanty.
Jeanty's it factor. Because when you got it, and it pops. We see it at some point. Mm-hmm. Fred Taylor had it. LaDainian Tomlinson had it. Mm-hmm. Adrian Peterson, Saquon Barkley, Christian McCaffrey, Bijan Robinson. We saw it. Right. You saw it early. Even if the statistics didn't say, oh, he rushes for 100.
Well, Bijan was thin.
Right, it was something early. Right. Where's Ashton Jeanty's? Ashton Jeanty doesn't have that it factor. And I don't think this is a load.
Yeah, whatever. Here's the bottom line with it. You can't judge anybody based on 3 NFL games. So the guy is basically saying, you haven't really even taken the test, and I'm going to determine what your career is already. You've had 3 games. And the Raiders' offensive line has been terrible. Again, if you look at some of the analytics, where he's getting hit, like by where they're contacting him, and then the yards he's getting off that contact. So it's unbelievable that Ryan Clark would say such a thing about Ashton Jeanty. But 21 carries, 138 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 receiving, 1 on the ground. And the bottom line is he does have it. I saw it a ton at Boise State. I get it. He's not playing the best competition there, but you can tell whether a guy has it. He was a top, 5-6 pick in the NFL draft. Many people thought he was. So they thought, all the scouts and all the people who actually do this for a living, although you played the game, right? You've told us that. You can't judge a guy after 3 games. I think Ashton Jeanty does have it. I think Ashton Jeanty is going to be really, really good. I think they need to upgrade their offensive line. I think that Geno Smith has been a complete joke. We'll get into that a little bit later under Duds. He has 7 interceptions in 4 games. He threw 3 interceptions today. He's thrown 3 interceptions twice this year. We're 4 weeks into the season. So they don't respect the passing game, and they think that Ashton Jeanty is all of their offense. That's what's going on. So Ashton Jeanty does have it. I would disagree once again with Ryan Clark, who is wrong often. And look, I'm not saying that I'm right a lot. I'm just saying that when you're on a national stage and you played the game, as you have told us many, many times, I don't know, every once in a while you might have some insight. But I get that show because it's like, okay, Ryan, you're our hot take guy. You're going to say Ashton Jeanty doesn't have it. And then we're going to talk about it. And it's got to be embarrassing when you're 3 games into a season and you're already determining what a guy's career is. The Giants win. That's always a big national story. But Jackson Dart wasn't great. I mean, was he better than Russell Wilson? I guess, not turning the football over. 13 of 20, 111 yards and a touchdown. And then he rushed it 10 for 54 and another touchdown there. The issue becomes he got sacked 5 times. And what happens with quarterbacks is that's not a lot of times on your offensive line. That's a rookie quarterback holding the ball too long. I watched bits of that game. I'll go back and watch a little bit more of it. But again, it's funny how quarterback ratings work. So 13 of 20, 111 yards and a touchdown gives you a 96 quarterback rating. Jackson Dart didn't play great in that game, but it was good enough to beat the Chargers. And that's a pretty surprising loss. And that's why I go back to the Niners and the Jaguars, which is you're going to have a weird loss during the season. You're going to have a loss that when we played the win-loss game, it was like, how did that loss happen? And the Chargers are going to come back at some point in this season because as a fan of any team, you're going to figure this. You know this. Damn, that one game. Remember week 3 or week 5 or week 7 or whatever week it was? You're like, oh, that one game. Because if you're in the same division as Kansas City, which obviously the Chargers are, you can't lose a game to the Giants with a rookie quarterback starting. And you're Jim Harbaugh going, how did we lose that game? Justin Herbert wasn't great. We'll get into some of the studs in just a second. Hampton, the running back from North Carolina for the Chargers, was really good, but we'll get into that in a minute as well. So those are your top 5 stories. As far as the Packers and Cowboys, again, because I had this list before, I would say a couple of things, and we'll do that under studs, but a couple of great receivers. Pickens tonight without CeeDee Lamb, and Romeo Doubs tonight was absolutely great, and both quarterbacks were as well. Love almost blew that game, though, at the end. So Parsons returns to Dallas, top 5 stories. Chiefs not dead. They're 2-2 now. Patrick Mahomes, the youngest to 250 touchdown passes. The Ravens might be. 10 starters are out, and now Lamar Jackson. We'll find out tomorrow in an MRI how bad that injury is. The Eagles and the Bills are the last undefeated 2 teams. That could be our Super Bowl. Jeanty explodes after he was told, or after Ryan Clark said earlier in the week, he did not have it. The Bears did block a field goal to win that game, 25-24. The Giants win. They get off the schneid. Oh, the big story in that game is Malik Neighbors feared to have an ACL injury, to have a torn ACL. So that's not great. One of the best receivers in the league, and he's only in his 2nd year, so he has a major injury. They're going to have an MRI on Monday, but that's what the fear is. So those are your top 5 stories in the NFL for week 4. And again, if you've got one that you want me to talk about, let me know. Let me know about what game you want to talk about, what player, what team, anything like that. We don't have to stick to those top 5 stories, but check those out. And let me know if you want to talk about something in particular. Hit me up on the chat line again, John Lund Unleashed on YouTube. If you're watching on X tonight, absolutely great. Appreciate it as we recap week number 4 in the NFL. But at John Lund Radio, you can check me out. Come on over to the chat room and hang out with us. Give us a few questions and tell me why we should be talking about your team. Studs, I told you about Ashton Jeanty, 21 for 138, 2 touchdowns, 1 receiving, and 1 on the ground. Puka Nacua, I know you don't want to hear this. The Niners play the Rams on Thursday. 13 for 170 and a touchdown. I thought when they got Devontae Adams that he would be a little bit less. Again, 5th-round pick. We know the story about him, but he absolutely killed the Colts today, who, by the way, crushed themselves. We'll get into that in duds in just a second. 13 for 170 and a touch for Puka Nacua. Bijan Robinson, I mean, you tell me. I play in one fantasy league, one. And it's with a bunch of old friends of mine, all that kind of stuff. And I did not get Bijan Robinson. He's got to be the top pick in all fantasy drafts now, right? 17 carries, 75 yards, 4 for another 106 through the air. And the Falcons bounced back from the loss last week. Just a terrible loss to the Panthers. And again, that's one in the NFC South where you look at the Buccaneers, not very good. Panthers stink. Saints stink. The Panthers got rolled in New England 42-13. New Orleans lost again today. It's maybe the worst division in all of football. So the Bucs, they lose to Philly today. They can lose to Philly. But if the Falcons either want to win that division or possibly get into a wild card, they're going to look back at that Carolina game and go, what in the hell? Michael Penix, the second-year player who's essentially a rookie out of Washington, did throw for 313 yards, and he bounced back. But Bijan Robinson, as far as two-way players are concerned, and look, I love Christian McCaffrey, and I told you a lot of people are going to be sitting there going, I don't know if I can take McCaffrey. Look, love McCaffrey, but Bijan Robinson is a younger version who can do it all. He's run out of the slot for Atlanta. Like I said, 4 for 106 and 17 for 75. So what's that real quick? 21 touches for 181 yards total. for Robinson. That dude is good. And then running backs, rookies, Jeanty went off, but so did Marion Hampton, the rookie running back out of Carolina for the Chargers, despite the loss, 12 for 128 and a touchdown, and he caught 5 for 37 more. So that's a first-round pick where some people were kind of scratching their head going, what's he doing? But Jim Harbaugh knew. And then they picked up Najee Harris, Bay Area's own, but Najee Harris first had an eye injury, and now he's got an Achilles injury. He's out for the year, so Hampton's going to be the guy with the Chargers if you're lucky enough to pick him up in fantasy. And then defensively, it's kind of like the Heisman Trophy. We're always looking at offensive numbers. But defensively, Aiden Hutchinson for the Lions all the way back now from that injury last year. 2 sacks, forced fumble, 9 pressures, and he also had 4 quarterback hits. Granted, it was Cleveland. I get that, and they've got a lot of injuries along the offensive line, and he was taking advantage of that. But Aiden Hutchinson had the best defensive day of anybody. And then let me just hit, because I did this, like I said, before the Packers and the Cowboys. And again, if you're joining us late, they tied at 40 in the Sunday night game, which I hate. And I don't like using that word. Dislike, can't stand. What other terms can I come up with? You're a billion-dollar business. You've got to do better than ties. I don't care. Do the college rule at the 25-yard line. Do the college rule at the end, which I don't like really, but so what? 2-point conversions, which they do in college, something other than having a tie. You can't have a tie, but that's what they do. But 2 guys out of that one. George Pickens filled in great. 8 receptions against the Packers, including a couple of huge ones late in that game. He had 2 touchdowns, including the long one that they thought was going to win the game. But nowadays with that kick, and I don't know what you think of the kick. I'll get to that in just a second. And then Romeo Doubs, who was a guy that maybe the 49ers were going after when they had all those injuries, but then the Packers had a bunch of injuries with their receivers, so they couldn't trade anybody. He had, I think, only 6 catches, but he had 3 touchdowns tonight for the Packers against the Cowboys. So put those 2 guys in the stud category as well for week 4 in the NFL. As far as that kickoff is concerned, and we've seen it good, we've seen it be bad. But if you don't land it in the landing area, then it comes out to the 40-yard line, which Seattle took advantage of it in the Arizona game on Thursday night. If you do, and it goes into the end zone, Brandon Aubrey seems to have it down for the Cowboys. Then you get it out at the 20-yard line. The Cowboys did have a big return, which set up that touchdown to Pickens. Turpin, who's maybe the best kick returner in the league, got it out to the 46-yard line. So it's really weird. And we talked a lot about it. In fact, John Fossil is the author of that, longtime special teams coach. We had him on our show when I was on KMBR. And teams, this is always how it works in the NFL. Good teams figure out all the ways to win a football game. So I talk about the Niners all the time, and I respect what Kyle Shanahan has built, but I don't care what they said. And you remember this last year, there was a press conference at the end of the year, and John Lynch pounded the table. Kyle Shanahan does care about special teams. He doesn't. He doesn't talk to kickers. He doesn't talk to punters. He allowed, which I'm okay with this. They said to Brant Boyer, who do you need to make special teams better? And I'm not kidding you. When in free agency, they signed like 5-6 guys who were purely special teams players. Sky Moore is an above average kick and punt returner. Hasn't done really anything. So I don't know what the issues are, but it's a big deal. So my point of this is the good teams are continuing to take advantage of these situations and say, okay, this is the way that this should be played. Teams are getting good field position out of it. Other teams are obviously bad special teams units like the Niners. Again, they score a touchdown, they have momentum, and then the Jaguars get a long kick return right before the half, get a field goal. They get a punt return for a touchdown. Like, it's just those kind of things sank the 49ers today, in addition to the 4 turnovers, which we'll get to in a little bit. But duds tonight, let's get to the duds. The injuries. Jackson, like I said, we're going to find out on an MRI on Monday where Lamar Jackson is. If he's out for a while, that's not great for the league. Malik Neighbors, that's not great. Second-year wide receiver out of LSU. They're fearing an ACL, so that's not great. And probably the biggest dud, I was going to make this number 1, but I didn't end up doing it. But I don't know if you saw it. If I play the highlights, what YouTube does is they flag it and they shut me down and they get all pissy. So I won't do that anymore, but I do know this. In fact, I think I have the exact play. Let me throw an image up here. If I don't, then I'll get it for you. But if you didn't see it, and I don't know why these guys do this. It's one of the, I don't have the picture of it. I do have the player, though, talking about it afterward. A.D. Mitchell, a second-year player out of Texas, and he's got all the speed in the world and all the talent in the world and all this kind of stuff. breaks a long touchdown against the Rams. At the time, the Rams were up 13-10. And so this is a great move for the Colts. Colts are undefeated, right? They're feeling great. And right before he gets into the end zone, he's hot dogging a little bit. He loses control of the football. And I can't stand this rule. Like, it's a dumb rule. Because if you watch him, he's kind of showboating to the end zone. He loses control of the ball at about the half-yard line. It fumbles out of the back of the end zone, and the Rams get it at the 20. It's a touchback, and the Rams get it at the 20. I don't know how the NFL came up with this rule, but my point of it is that if the defense does nothing, then why do they get rewarded? Like, Mitchell's a dumbass. I get it. He's a dumbass for doing this because he's hot dogging and then he loses the football. There are guys who throw the ball, right before they cross the goal line. We see this 2-3 times a year. Remember Deshaun Jackson did it. A number of guys have done it. It's just hang on to the football. Like, what are you doing? So he does that and he loses the football and the Rams get the ball at the 20-yard line. And it's not just because the Rams got it. It went against, it's the Rams. My point is that what did the defense do to deserve the ball at the 20-yard line? If you do something, great. If you pick the ball off, great. If you force a fumble, great, even though that happened a lot against the Niners today. Like, if you do that and the Niners don't get interceptions anymore, what is it, 10 straight games? They don't get interceptions anymore, but this thing, it's called an interception. And if your defense catches the ball, then it's called an interception and you get the ball. Don't know if the Niners know that anymore. But the Rams defense did nothing and they get rewarded at the 20-yard line. Don't like the rule. Here's A.D. Mitchell after the game apologizing because it probably cost the Colts the game, and then it would have been the second loss for the Rams. So the Niners are pissed about it too.
It definitely stings. The ball was put in my hand to make a play for the team, and it was a matter of losing focus and just a play that just can't happen and just unacceptable. I just got to be better.
I mean, that's fine, and a lot of people will give a guy credit. Hey, well, he talked to the media afterwards. He has to, number one. But number two, my question just would have been flat out, why did you do that? What were you thinking? Like, you're a wide receiver. You're in the NFL. You went to Texas. I'm sure you were great in high school. Like, you've probably scored, I don't know, 50 touchdowns in your life. I don't know. To get to the point where you are, you had to be dominant, and you were a dominant college player, and I'm sure you were great in high school. And I don't know. I looked it up. I don't know how many you scored in the NFL. It's a second year, but like, you've scored before, right? And you have to take the ball over the line. Like, what are you doing? That always blows my mind. But 2 or 3 times a year, it always happens. Someone needs the hot dog before. Like, just wait. Just wait 1 second. I get it. We live in a microwave society, but just wait until you cross the goal line. Is that too much to ask? That's the top dud of the day. And then we'll get into the 49ers in just a second. But 49ers turnovers, this one's not a hard one to decipher. I know that all of the people who do 49ers content are going to try to make it all about all these different things. And yes, Brock Purdy was erratic, overthrew a lot of balls, almost got a couple of receivers killed. When Juwan Jennings gets hurt and Ricky Pearsall hurts the knee again, you start thinking to yourself, is this guy injury prone? And Trent Williams got outplayed. Josh Hines-Allen played a great game. Trent Williams was not great. Look, he's getting older, man. He's not going to be as consistent as he was. Younger players are inconsistent. Older players are inconsistent. I mean, that's just what it is. But there's other storylines here, no doubt about it. But you don't win games if you lose the turnover battle 4-0. I mean, it's just what it is. One pass was Brock Purdy's fault. They could have had a couple others picked. One ball was tipped. I get it. And then you had 2 fumbles. Luke Farrell, you're playing against your old team, the Jaguars. That was the first fumble. And then there was a fumble late in the game when the Niners were trying to get back in the game, but it was pretty much decided by that point. But you're 0-4 in turnovers. They scored 7. Stay with me. Let's do a little math, even though we don't like doing math on this show. Pretty simple. You give 17 points up on turnovers. They scored on 3 of those 4 turnovers, 2 touchdowns and a field goal. So 17 points off turnovers. And then the kickoff return right before the half after you had scored, you go up a long kickoff return. They get a field goal off that. There's 20. And then the punt, and they went for 2 there, and they missed it. But on the punt return for a touchdown, they got 6. So 9 off special teams, 17 off turnovers, 26 points. Can't really blame the defense. I mean, the only thing you can blame the defense for is Trevor Lawrence is not a very mobile quarterback, and clearly Nick Bosa was missed. I mean, there's just no question. Very few pressures, no sacks on the day for the 49ers against Trevor Lawrence, who, again, I'm not going to say a guy's not athletic. I mean, that's one of the dumbest things that people say in this industry. Well, he's not very athletic. Really? Like Mac Jones is not very athletic. Well, he plays the toughest position in all the sports, and so they're athletic. I mean, let's compare it to regular people. They're ridiculously athletic compared to regular people, maybe not compared to the freaks that are in the leagues, in the professional leagues, in all sports. Okay, yeah, there's a lot of freakish athletes, but to say that someone's not athletic, that's not accurate in any way, shape, or form. But when you give up those kind of things, 9 off special teams, 17 off turnovers, you're going to lose a football game every single time. They handed the football game to them. I mean, you could tell Kyle Shanahan was frustrated. You're just sitting there going, look, you have a chance to go to 4-0. It's Jacksonville. I know that they're 3-1 now, but they're good. I mean, defensively, they're good. There's no doubt. They're good defensively. And Eric Armstead, by the way, getting that fumble to seal the game. You're kind of torn, right? Maybe you're not. Maybe you're just a Niners fan. It's like, to hell with Eric Armstead. But for a moment there, I just felt good for him. I was like, coming back. And the Niners, again, me and you getting offered the kind of money he got offered, and then he said no and took off to Duval and got that big contract. So I get it. But they gave the game away. So we can talk about Brock Purdy's overthrows. We can talk about Trent Williams maybe not being at his best. Darrell Luter Jr. I told you in training camp, they didn't have any depth behind their corners, and that was a problem. And I would say one thing, if there was one thing that I would say, that PI call against Upton Stout, not the greatest call. I think you should let guys get away with some physicality. So Upton Stout, an interception that could have and would have maybe changed the game, but they called it pass interference on him, and they reversed it. So that was a major problem as well. So they had some calls, but the bottom line to the whole thing is 4 turnovers and 2 special teams gaffes. I mean, that's just what it is. And like I said, I'm looking at it right here. Joy says, can't believe they lost to the Jags. That's what I mean. That's just a loss that you're going to look back at the end of the year. And I told you this too in training camp. I have a lot of friends in Seattle. The Seahawks are a good team. They're legit. The Rams are the Rams. So this is going to be a tight division. And I'm not sure that you can – I don't know how many wild cards are going to come out of it, because the Rams, the Seahawks, and the 49ers, I think, are going to beat each other up. And for the 49ers, I think it just comes down to health. I think this week we'll find out a lot. Juwan Jennings, where's he at? He's been banged up since camp. Ricky Pearsall, you're holding your breath, because let's be honest. I mean, you don't say it out loud, but you are thinking in the back of your mind, because I am, and so I know you are. Is he injury prone? Is he able to stay healthy? And he hit his knee pretty hard and out of bounds, is what he said. And so, yeah, that's a problem for him. And we'll talk about that as the week progresses as well. But you need him to be healthy, and they're already short. And John Lynch said on the radio last week that Brandon Ayuk still isn't close. And we are now 4 into this. And I told you, I before the season, I had spoke to somebody within the organization who said probably week 8. So they're still 4 away from that. They did get Demarcus Robinson back today. That was good. He made a hell of a catch on a very high throw from Brock Purdy. Jennings, a catch, really high throw from Brock Purdy. But here's the other thing too. And I know it's hard to throw some of these guys. They showed a graphic on the game tonight, or on the game today, of all these different receivers and how many catches each had. I mean, Tongus is playing as good as he can, but he's not George Kittle. Had a nice screen pass for a touchdown in the game today. But, he's unfamiliar with a lot of these players that he's playing with. Luke Farrell comes in because Tongus was out for a minute, went back to the locker room. He fumbles the football. You're down to your 3rd string tight end, and he's not a pass catcher. He was brought here to block, not catch passes. So he's not really used to having the ball in his hands all that much, and he fumbles. That's not overly surprising. And then, one of the things that's going on in the league too, and then I'll hit up to the chat line. So again, you want to talk anything about the NFL, let's do it, man. We're recapping week number 4, and we're down to some duds, and the 49ers losing to the Jaguars is absolutely a dud, as they lose today. 4 turnovers, 2 special teams gaffes. They gave all 26, literally handed all 26 points to the Jaguars today. But the punch, everybody's doing the punch. And I don't know how they're talking about ball security, but every single game you watch, I mean, and it's not like a little tap, the peanut punch, but I mean, dudes are like winding up now, and the Jags are really good at it. I mean, seriously, the Jags are just the punch out, the two that they had both times. I mean, it's just everybody's going for it. And so, if ball security is an issue with you, and Bobby Turner's a great coach of the 49ers, been around forever, they got to look at that again, because 2 fumbles, a ball got tipped up in the air by McCaffrey, and then a ball got tipped by a defensive lineman for the Jaguars. So Brock's throws, not all of them were his fault, but Brock didn't have a good day. And I don't care what the numbers are. I don't need to go back and check the numbers. I saw the game. And a lot of his throws were just flat out inaccurate. And that comes back to, okay, he missed 2 games. And the running game wasn't doing a whole lot. And so they forced him to throw. They were behind early because of the turnovers. Forces Brock to throw. You don't want him throwing as much as that. And then here's the other thing that I didn't mention. And I said that the defense was fairly blameless. Travis Etienne, the kid from Clemson, he's running as good as he's run in a number of years. Hit a long run early in the game, and then when they needed anything from him, there it was. Travis Etienne. So he was over 120 yards, I think, on the game. So, again, there was a lot of phases that they didn't do well. Their run defense obviously wasn't good. They got 0 sacks on the day. They can't pick the ball off. They don't create any turnovers. As good as Saleh's defense had played up to this point, they don't create any turnovers whatsoever. The special teams are shit again. And we thought they brought in all these special teams guys. They brought Brant Boyer's punter. They brought Brant Boyer's long snapper. It's like, dude, you're taking over special teams. We'll give you everything you want. Still suck. So that's a major problem moving forward as well, because they were bad last year. They're starting to be bad this year. I'm going to assume that the special teams are bad. And then offensively, again, you're turning it over 4 times. And then here's the other thing. You have a short week at LA against the Rams. And the Rams the last couple of weeks have stumbled a bit. I mean, they were up big in Philly. They were up 26-7 in Philly. And then today, the Colts had them. And so the last couple of weeks, they haven't been their best. And we know what happens as Niner fans go down there. It's going to be Levi South. There's no doubt about it. So it's not like you're going to be intimidated by some Rams fans, because there really aren't any. But that all of a sudden becomes a huge game, because you don't want to get off to this 3-0 start feeling fat and happy about yourself. And then all of a sudden you look around and you're like, we're 3-2. What's going on here? So they got to get a little bit of health. But, here's the other thing. A lot of people have asked me questions today. Hit me up at John Lund Radio, or you can hit me right here with questions right underneath the show. When are they going to get Trey Hendrickson? When are they going to get Trey Hendrickson? The trade deadline is not till November 4th. So you want Trey Hendrickson, and the Bengals aren't the most I'm going to say they're the most difficult. I was going to say they're not the easiest team to trade with. They're probably the most difficult team to trade with. They're not realistic. They want to give up, if you were going to trade for Trey Hendrickson right now, they would be like 2 first-round picks. It's like, his contract ends at the end of this year. We're not giving you 2 first-round picks. So I think they're going to try to drive the hardest bargain they possibly can. So Trey Hendrickson, while he would fit and they could fit him in financially, they could do that. You look at this whole thing and you think to yourself, that's probably not a guy they're going to get. They probably have to lower their sights on that. Is there a guy that they can get? And nobody's going to replace Bosa, because what Bosa does, and the biggest problem that the 49ers had today, and I was watching the line just to see this, there's no double team. There's nobody that needs to be double teamed. I mean, look, I like Bryce Huff. You don't have to double team him. Sam O, you don't have to double team him. Mikael Williams, I really, really like, but he has you see him make some flash plays, and then if you watch him on the defensive line enough, he makes mistakes too. He's a rookie. Collins is a nice player, but he's not going to sack the quarterback. He's supposed to be a run stuffer, and they didn't do that today. So the defensive line, which has been good at times this year, they're not going to be able to replace Nick Bosa, which means everybody's is going to go man to man. You're not going to get any double teams. You're not going to get any advantages up there until somebody proves they can do something. And so teams, they're like, oh yeah, we were going to have to prepare for Nick Bosa. We can throw that out. So now we don't have to focus as much. So it's a problem. And no sacks today, not a ton of pressure on Lawrence. I'm trying to think of any times. I mean, there was a couple of times where he was uncomfortable in the pocket, but not a ton, and that's going to be a problem moving forward, because obviously you're looking at like a Darrell Luter Jr., for example. And I love Demo, but not a lot of teams throw at him. The safeties are young. We've talked about this a ton. They're going to have problems, like Matthew Stafford. You don't think Matthew Stafford, and this is one of the things that just Trevor Lawrence is just not that good. Matthew Stafford to Puka Nacua or to Devontae Adams, they're going to go 28, Luter's number all day long. They'll just hammer it. If that kid can't play, we're going to find out if he can or can't. He wasn't horrible today, But we're going to find out if he can or can't play, because if Renardo Green can't play again, and it's Darrell Luter Jr. now making his second start in the NFL, Stafford's going to find out quick. So that's a problem. So those are your duds. That is number 3, the 49ers. And again, I want to get out to some thoughts on the chat line before we get to the last two, Geno Smith. And I've got a rant about Monday Night Football, which is absolutely ridiculous. They're doing this. Let's see, what do we got? Joy is in the room tonight. Anthony is in the room. The 1420 is here tonight. Very cool. As we recap week number 4. Mark Graves is here. That is great. It's good to see you, my friend. Christopher, our good friend, is here as well. Lots of good names in here. And again, if you don't know what I'm talking about, come over to the YouTube channel and hang out with us. Get in the chat room, talk some NFL, talk some Niners, talk whatever it is that you want to talk about as we recap week number 4. But we'd love you to jump in here. So let's do it, man. Come in here. If you're watching on John Lund Radio, at John Lund Radio on X, that would be tremendous. You can also watch us on the Bay Area Sports Collective, as well as John Lund Unleashed right here on YouTube. 49ers Diehard is in here tonight. Very cool, man. Good to see everybody tonight as we recap week number 4. So give me your thoughts on the Niners loss today. Again, you can overtalk it and all that kind of stuff, and I get it. There's a lot of content by all these content creators of the 49ers, but the reality is it's 4 turnovers and 2 special teams gaffes. End of story. I mean, honestly, we could do that in 1 minute and be like, good night, everybody, as far as the 49ers are concerned. Geno Smith, remember all the hype surrounding Geno Smith and Pete Carroll with the Raiders, and he's leaving the Seahawks, and Sam Darnold's coming in, and Darnold's going to be worse, and Geno's going to be better. And then the week number 1, they beat New England, and Geno Smith threw for like 300 and something yards and 360 yards, and he's talking trash and it's all that kind of stuff. And it was like, obviously they made the right move, and Raiders are going to be better. Well, the Raiders haven't won since then, and since the Niners beat the Seahawks haven't lost. And Sam Darnold's one of the best quarterbacks in the league, at least statistically. He's been really good. He was really good against the Cardinals. The Cardinals came back. We haven't talked about Thursday night's game. The Cardinals come back. That kickoff rule came into effect. They kicked the ball out of bounds. Seattle got the ball at the 40-yard line, drove a little bit. Jason Myers kicks a field goal. Seattle wins that game. But Sam Darnold is playing really good football. And I got to be honest with you. Obviously, when he was the Jets, and then he goes to the Panthers, and I wasn't really impressed. And then I saw him in training camp with Brock Purdy. And the thing about Darnold always was that his mind couldn't catch up with his physical skills. He's an underrated athlete. You got to say that. But he's really starting to understand the game. And you look around the league right now, and Geno Smith was that. I think Geno's kind of getting on the other side of it. What is he, 34? But Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold. We're seeing Daniel Jones with the Colts, who had a real opportunity and maybe should have beat the Rams today, except for what Mitchell did. You're seeing these guys who get washed out, especially a guy like Jones in New York, where there's so much media attention on you, or Sam Darnold, who was in New York, or Geno Smith, who was in New York. I mean, I'll think about that. All 3 of the guys who have, you put Baker Mayfield in there too, but we're rehabbed kind of we're New York guys, and then you throw Baker Mayfield in there as well. It takes a minute to play the position. And then we judge all these guys, and I'm guilty of it. Like, a year in, you go, oh, he sucks, he can't play. And so we're looking at, like Bryce Young with the Panthers. You got a lot of question marks about that. We could tell early, people are going to bring up Trey Lance. You could find out early. I hope at some point he gets to play for the Chargers. I don't want Herbert to get hurt, but I'd like to see if he's learned a couple of things, because teams will pick these guys up now. They're thinking to themselves, okay, what are my options? Am I going to take another first-round quarterback? I mean, look at Cam Ward in Tennessee. They're brutal. They're awful. Between Tennessee and New Orleans, I said earlier, as you go up to number 3 on the top 5 stories, Eagles and Bills are the last undefeated teams. The teams who don't have a win, Tennessee in the AFC and New Orleans in the NFC, they're horrendous teams. And Spencer Rattler, they're trying, but New Orleans will draft a quarterback probably with a number 1 pick. And then Cam Ward, who I said this right when he was drafted. And look, I'm not saying that his career is not going to be something, because, like I said, I'm not Ryan Clark, and you're 4 games in and you're saying that Cam Ward can't play. But what I think is interesting about it is Cam Ward is a number 1 pick. Well, obviously I live on the West Coast, and Cam Ward played at Washington State for 3 years, and I don't remember him being talked about ever as the first overall pick. He was a nice player from then the Pac-12. Nice player. Good player at Washington State. Nice player. Then he goes to Miami, And like a lot of things happen, and all of a sudden he's in, Miami, a major market, has a really good year. Saw him at Cal when he was in town here. Impressive, nice player. Number 1 overall pick? No. Going to change the franchise? No. He's not that kind of a guy. He's not Joe Burrow. He's not that kind of I don't think he's that kind of a quarterback. In fact, this is him. This is pretty funny. This is actually probably the quote of the day today. Tennessee is 0-4. They're probably looking at a coaching change and a regime change here pretty soon. They're just dead in the water. They got smoked by the Texans today, 26-0. And here's the number 1 overall pick in the draft, Cam Ward, talking about it post-game.
To a penalty, to an incompletion by me, a bad ball. And then once we pass the 50, we just not continuing the drive. If we keeping the buck right now, we ass. So we 0-4. We have, at this point, we got nothing to lose. We dropped a quarter of our fucking games, and we've yet to do anything. So we have to lock in, especially myself on the offensive line, from the defensive line, from the special teams to all 3 phases. We have to play together. We have not played together this year yet. And that's just something that, we want to preach about it every day. Every day we got to do better, and we're doing that, but it has to show up on Sundays. It hasn't showed up yet, but
I'll be interested to see how the veterans take that, because he did say himself, he started saying, look, it starts with me, this and this and this. I like a guy like that, though, that will say it. And then he says, like, the offensive line, the defensive line, and they're all just sitting there going, listen, Rook. But anyway, I don't know that there's a worse team than Tennessee. If there is, then it's New Orleans. Now, New Orleans has not had an easy schedule. Obviously, they played the Niners. They played the Seahawks. They did play the Cardinals to start the year. So, but I don't think Spencer Rattler is it. So, again, undefeateds, Eagles and Bills, defeateds, New Orleans and Tennessee. I do wonder who would win that. And then finally, Monday Night Football. And look, I get it. You can't flex teams right on the spot. It's different. You can flex teams in different sports. But, teams have a weekly routine. They got to get ready. So it's not like this early in the season you can say, okay, you're playing on Monday, you're playing on Sunday. You don't get all the good games. Like tonight, the Packers and the Cowboys was an absolutely great game, except for the fact that there was a tie. It was 40-40. You can't have ties. But Monday Night Football tomorrow night, and we'll still watch. We have fantasy, we have bets, we have different things that we love. So, and we're addicted to the NFL, so we'll watch. But the Jets and Miami are both 0-3. So whoever wins that game, and again, the defeateds, if I had to bet, man, brutal. I just, Miami's got some talent. I'm a little bit flummoxed by the fact that Mike McDaniel, who right when he got there, and we all know it because he was the offensive coordinator of the Niners, and the cute quotes and the kind of quirky things, and I've talked to Mike a ton of times, they're cute when you're winning. So when he was there and the Niners were winning, and he was kind of quirky, and they'd have him go up to the podium every couple of weeks, and he was funny, and he was that. And then he gets to Miami, and the first year they get to the playoffs, and they'll put up with it. It's like, okay, the funniness, the quirkiness, it's fun, but when you're losing, it's not funny. And he's probably going to lose his job at the end of the year as well if they don't improve. But I think I would take Miami. But still, 2-0-3 teams. Monday Night Football's be like, I'm paying how much for what? Roger Goodell wants to renegotiate this thing, and I got to have this for a Monday night game if I'm on, come on, man. And ESPN/ABC/Disney, they're partners with the NFL now, and they're sitting there going, this is the games you're giving us? Come on, man. And then the second game is Cincinnati with no Joe Burrow. Hi, Jake Browning, against Denver, and Bo Nix hasn't looked near the quarterback he was as a rookie. And I thought Denver, we saw them in camp. I was there that day. Their defense is really, really good. They've got a ton of guys on defense. I thought Denver was going to be a sleeper in the AFC. We'll see. They should beat Cincinnati without Joe Burrow, but I don't know. I don't love that schedule, but you can't have a great game all the time. But 2-0-3 teams, a Cincinnati team led by Jake Browning at quarterback versus Bo Nix is not exactly what I want out of my Monday Night Football. That's all I'm saying. So between a tie on Sunday Night Football and the junk that they're throwing at us on Monday Night Football, that's kind of what we got going. But anyway, I'll watch. I'll watch. That's just how it is. By the way, I did not play this a little bit earlier. There you go. There's Micah before the game. That's why, like I said, you can't have a tie. Like Micah Parsons is walking out of there going, because both teams feel crummy. Like now, okay, and Packers are 2-1-1. The Cowboys are What are they, 1-2-1? You just paid a bunch of money for this game. You're walking out of there going, how am I supposed to feel? They tied. Like, the NBA doesn't have ties. NHL doesn't have ties. Baseball doesn't have ties. Like, you play. When you play. Yeah, that's just the way it goes. And you may hate the runner on second rule, and you may hate this and that. At least somebody wins. I mean, I just think in sports, somebody's got to win. Like, I get it. It's a little league or, whatever soccer your kid plays in or whatever. If they tie, it's like, but they just ran around. They just want a juice box and an orange. Like, they're okay with it. That's fine. They just play. They don't even know the score. But, like, it's the NFL. Like, no ties. Got to figure it out. That's one thing in the offseason. They make all these rule changes all the time, right? Oh, we got to make this, and we got to do that, and we got to. They're always messing with the game, but you can have a tie. Like, I think if there was a fan vote, and I get it, it's not democracy, but if there was a fan vote in the NFL, it's like there's an obvious rule that needs to be changed, which is you can't tie. You cannot tie. Let's not do that. Let's not tie. Let's see. One thing I forgot. Thank you, Anthony, for bringing this up again. Steelers in Ireland today, and again, they won today. Big touchdown pass from Rodgers to DK. I'd love to get your thoughts on it because I am a sick individual. I did get up. I did watch that 6 a.m. Pacific game, and then all through the day, all the other games. I am, from 6 o'clock in the morning to what just ended, I don't know, an hour ago, an overtime game between the Packers and the Cowboys. That's a long damn day. And I did at one point as I was making myself my eighth snack of the day, and I sat my ass back down on the couch. I did think to myself momentarily, I have wasted an entire day of my life. And I don't know how many of these days I have left. Look at me. But I mean, my gosh, man, that's a long day on the couch. Like I'm sure it's indented over there. But that's what I did. So 6 a.m. I was completely useless today. Not great. I can't say that that's a great thing for me. So anyway, that's what it is. Yeah, I would agree with you. There's a way to do it. There's got to be a way for 420. There's got to be a way to flex because you should not be stuck with Monday night games. 0-3 Jets, 0-3 Dolphins, which, by the way, again, you're not going to get all the great games. Fox is sitting there going, hey, man, we got Tom Brady. He's got to call some big games. And, CBS is over going, you can't have all the games. You're going to pay billions of dollars and you get all the good games. And we know how the pecking order works. It kind of goes Sunday Night Football's 1, and then Monday Night Football's 2. Then, the two networks, Fox and CBS, get a bunch of good games. And then then Thursday Night Football gets whatever. And that, there's been some good Thursday night games, but I mean, they make the schedule late in the season. They can flex things, but man, it's just like, but I'll still watch. I know football's on, but I got some catching up to do. Honestly, when I spend 15 hours on the couch or something like that, that's probably not good. So anyway, there you go. That's what we got today. Top 5 stories again. Parsons goes back. That's a 40-40 tie. Chiefs not dead. They're 2-2. Mahomes 250 touchdown passes, the youngest to do it. The Ravens might be in trouble. 10 starters are injured, including now Lamar Jackson. Eagles and Bills are the last of the undefeateds. Ryan Clark, just a quick memo, and I'll be excited to see ESPN tomorrow on what he says. Says Jeanty doesn't have it, but he went 21 for 138 for 2 touchdowns. The Giants win. They get off the schneid. They beat Harbaugh's Chargers. Jackson Dart didn't do much, but it was enough. Your studs right there, Jeanty, Puka Nacua, Robinson, Bijan Robinson, Marion Hampton, Hutchinson, add 2 receivers from the Sunday night game in Dobbs, who had 3 touchdowns, and Pickens, who had 8 catches and 2 touchdowns. Duds today, injuries. Lamar Jackson, Neighbors might have a ACL. The A.D. Mitchell, oops, he couldn't wait till he got across the goal line. Probably cost the Colts the game against the Rams. Niners, we talked about. It's all about special teams and turnovers. Geno Smith now has 7 interceptions on the season, 2 3-interception games in the first 4 weeks of the season. And I guess we'll watch anyway. Thank you very much, because it is football. So it's kind of like pizza or sex. There's just different levels of good, It's just kind of like, okay, I'll eat the pizza. I'll have the sex, but there's levels of good. And Monday Night Football, we're going to have to deal with the Jets and the Dolphins and Cincinnati at Denver. So that is what's happening in the world of the NFL. Any questions, comments, or thoughts? Give me your thoughts, by the way. You can put any questions, comments, or thoughts underneath the show right here. And again, we recap every day. John Lund Unleashed and the Pro Football Wire. Make sure that you hit us up and make sure that you're subscribing to John Lund Unleashed on YouTube. That's all you got to do. Hit us with the like. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Make sure you have those alerts on as well. Any breaking news all around the NFL, we make sure we hit you with it as well. And stay tuned because we got a lot of social media and things coming out with Pro Football Wire as we cover all the teams in the NFL. By the way, Major League Baseball is over. I just thought I would add that to it. Major League Baseball is over. Wow. As far as the regular season is concerned, I should say. So there you go. Yeah, I could go for pizza now. I shouldn't have said that because I've been really eating junk all day and I can't have pizza. So I don't know why I just did that to myself and to everybody else. It's probably not too old. It's not too late to it's just after 10. You could still order it if you want. That's the one thing. Yeah, Chris, Justin Herbert, not great today. A couple interceptions, 23 of 41 off the top of my head. He's so confusing to me. I really like the guy. His talent is absolutely ridiculous. Every single week, like last weekend, who were they playing last weekend? He made that he was going to his right and threw that dime. I mean, the dude is just like, he has all these highlight reels and you just think he's going to be really, really good. And then it's like, what did he just do? Like, he was terrible today against the Giants. He's terrible today against the Giants. So that's one of the issues with him. I mean, the guy's got all the talent in the world, but he's just not consistent enough. So all through the week, the Niners play early. So all through the week, we'll get you caught up on everything that's going on with the Niners. Again, they are playing the Rams on Thursday. Those are some of the big games that are coming up. And again, one more quick look as I share my screen with you. I don't want to do that. There's your standings on the year. Again, the two teams at the top, the Eagles and the Bills, and then you're looking at the teams at the bottom. Saints and Titans, that would be an interesting one. Dolphins and Jets play tomorrow night, so someone's going to get a win out of those two teams. Giants get off the schneid today. Carolina was riding a little bit of momentum. They got blown their doors off by New England today. Texans finally get their first win. Look at the Ravens down there at 1-3. And if Jackson is hurt for any length of time, they're in trouble. I told you the Commanders were going to come back down to earth, although Jaden Daniels has missed both of those games. So they're 2-0 with him. They're 0-2 without him. Bears have a pulse now because the last 2 weeks they beat Dallas and today beat the Raiders on a blocked field goal. Atlanta's an interesting team. They are the only team in the South that probably can challenge the Bucs. They bounced back from a horrible loss to the Carolina Panthers. What else do we have to go over? That's about it. We went through the top of the teams as well as the Bills, and the Eagles are the last teams that are undefeated. So there you go. That is week 4 in the NFL. Let me make sure that we don't have any questions, comments, or thoughts on this Sunday night. I'll be back tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. More NFL talk. We'll get you caught up on everything. And again, questions, comments, thoughts, hit them right underneath here or at John Lund Radio on Twitter/X. I don't know how long we have to say Twitter/X. I would have liked to have gone. People are talking about that. No ties. Come on. There's too much money involved. Ooh, calzones. That's a nice call right there. Do like calzones. As we're talking about food. Now I got to go eat. All right, there you go. Eagles Bills Super Bowl. Finally the Bills could get off the schneid. That'd be nice. I wouldn't be against that. I wouldn't be against that at all. So anything else, questions, comments, thoughts, that'll do us for a Sunday night. As again, week 4 is now in the books. All right, tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Pacific time, make sure you're here. We'll go more over the NFL and we'll give you more on what's going on, not only with the John Lund Unleashed show, but with Pro Football Wire as well, as we've added that. So we'll make sure that we tell you all about that this week as well. Again, questions, comments, thoughts, hit me up right here or on Twitter/X at John Lund Radio. Before you get out of here tonight, if you would give us a like so that the algorithm will like us, that would be great as we grow our great community here. And if you keep those alerts on as well, so we can bug you. I'm going to be honest with you, so we can send more stuff out at you. So there you go. Everybody have a great Sunday night. Appreciate you coming in tonight to John Lund Unleashed and the Pro Football Wire.